Really made.
Alright, this is FYF Sports, man. It's Lamont. We back with another podcast video. Yesterday was opening day for the NBA, so we had two great matchups. At least they were great matchups on paper. To start the NBA season off, I think the NBA did a great job, and I said this before, they did a great job of marketing and promoting this NBA startup. Even though the timing is not normal. The players are kind of put in a more pressure-packed situation where they have to play a lot of games in a little time and going on short rest. So we got to cover these two games. We're going to go over the highlights. Along with the highlights, we're gonna also review the Fanduel lineups that we did. We had a live stream yesterday where we allowed the panel to come on, and the panel helped create two Fanduel lineups. So we're going to talk about how those lineups did, and then we're also going to be breaking down the matchups for tonight as well. So we got another slate of NBA games today. We're going to break those matchups down as well. So we got all of that in today's show. Before we get started with the show, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. We are grinding to 20K. We're rounding up on 18K right now. So a salute and appreciate everybody for liking, comment, and sharing the videos on social media. Keep that up. The channel is going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to give you guys this media, the content that you guys have been looking for with regards to the world of sports. But we're not going to waste any time. We got a lot of information to cover today. We're going to go jump right into these highlights with the Brooklyn Nets, the Golden State Warriors. We're going to follow that up with the Lakers and Clippers. And then we're going to touch on a number of other things. But let's go ahead and jump into these highlights right now. All right, we have Golden State Warriors, Brooklyn Nets, man. The one thing we saw early in this game is that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant looked like they are in, they're back to 100% being themselves. KD did not look as if he had any layover. His game didn't look slower. His game looks silky smooth. He looked he was able to get any move off that he wanted. And he gave the Golden State Warriors problems all night. And as you can see right here with the quick dribble pull up over two players. Again, the Warriors, there's not much they can do. What I like about the Nets offense, though, and this is what I like what Steve Nash is implementing, is the 7 seconds and under rule. But not just with 7 seconds and under rule, they're also implementing a lot of defense. And that's Steph Curry with the layup he put up. Steph Curry had a great game. He just didn't have much help tonight. Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins just did not show up at all. Not sure if it's rust or if it's just adjusting to the team. But they just didn't have it tonight. Kyrie Irving with another long three. Again, the Warriors had no one that could guard him one-on-one. And there's KD right there. And when I saw that play right there, that's when I knew. That's when I knew Kevin Durant was back. And he just has a knack for the game. Great block right there by DeAndre Jordan. And just watch how police that. Yeah, but this game was just in control by the Nets for the most part. Kyrie Irving dominated his matchup. I think the Warriors are going to have to really identify with Oubre and Wiggins who's going to be the defensive stopper and who's going to look to score more. I would like to see Oubre be more that defensive stopper because Wiggins on a consistent basis was getting blown by. Dimwitty got to the basket on him. LeVert got to the basket on him. Obviously, KD gave him problems offensively and defensively. I would like to see the Warriors kind of figure out who's going to help this team with their defensive identity. We know Draymond, when he comes back, he's going to help out. Wiseman still looks like he needs to adjust to the speed of the NBA. So I'm not for sure if Wiseman can be that defensive force as of now. But we'll have to kind of wait and see what's going on with that. But at this point in time in the game was a foregone conclusion. The Nets were just kind of running away with it. The Warriors never really had a chance today. They were pretty much out of it after the first quarter. And I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who has an answer for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So we're gonna run down their stats just really quick. Although it was a blowout game, the Brooklyn Nets win that game 125-99. Just like I said before, the Warriors shot 37% from the field, 30% from the three-point line. That's not indicative of any Warriors team that we've seen. In free throws, this is one thing that surprised me. The Warriors shot 15 to 23 from the free throw line, 65% from the free throw line. Not that those free throws would have helped or mattered much in the game, but you got to be able to hit your free throws. So when we talk about the Nets, obviously they were led by Kyrie Irving, 26, 4 and 4 on the night. Karis LeVert had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Kevin Durant, this is the game that I thought he would have, 22, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I didn't think he would go for 30, 40, or 50. If he needs to go for that many points, I think the Nets are in trouble. But those were the 3 standout guys, but everything else was done by committee. When we have guys like Dimwitty, he came in. He was the utility guy. He did a little bit of everything. Jeff Green came in, gave him 17 minutes of great action. I just think across the board, this team is so deep, especially with Joe Harris and Jared Allen. I think they're going to be a team to reckon with if they can stay healthy. So we got the Warriors. Again, we had a few bright spots. Steph Curry, 20 and 10. Other than that, James Wiseman had a great second half playing in garbage time. It looked like he was kind of starting to find his footing a bit. He ended the game with 19 and 6, which, you know, again, I'm not gonna say that he had a great game, because he kind of played poorly when in the minutes that he played that actually mattered in the first half. He struggled a bit and he kind of looked unsure of himself. But I kind of expect that in your very first NBA action. Remember, this man didn't have no preseason and really not a lot of practice time. He was out with COVID. So I mean, salute to him for being able to come out and perform the way he did without any previous NBA experience. Really disappointed in Eric Pascal starting for Draymond Green. A lot of people expected a lot of things out of him. I expected a bigger leap. Andrew Wiggins was a big-time disappointment, 13 points, 2 rebounds, but we know he can pull that disappearing act. Kelly Oubre again. If he came out, we saw him playing with the fire and energy that we would have hoped to see. But his jump shot wasn't falling. 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists on the night. Marquise Chris played in some garbage time. But other than that, the Warriors just didn't have any answers for anything that the Nets did. They looked out of sync. They looked out of rhythm. And they looked more like the team that we saw last year, even with Curry on the court. So hopefully when Draymond comes back, things can change, especially defensively. But as it stands right now, again, I'm not gonna jump to too many conclusions. This is just game one. This is just game one of a 72-game season. We have a lot more games to play. And so I don't want to overreact either way. I just would like to say the next Nets look really good. They are going to be a problem if they can stay healthy. And the Warriors just look like they have some things that they need to clear up. Doesn't look like a lot of those guys have roles identified. And once they get those roles identified, I think they could be a much more balanced and effective team. But let's go ahead and get to the highlights of the Los Angeles Lakers and the LA Clippers. All right, we got this Laker-Clipper game. I like the Clippers lineups. I like what they're trying to do with the players that they have. Start Nicholas Batum. I think you go with the length and the experience of Batum in that starting lineup to really help that team out defensively. That's what they needed last year. They needed a calming presence on defense. A guy drew him off with the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game, but the Lakers fall. The Lakers fall 116-109 to the Clippers. So the Lakers fall 116-109 to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, 26 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. A very solid game for him. Paul George was the big surprise of the night with 33, 6, and 3. I like what these guys did off the bench. Zubac with 11, Lou Williams with 11, hit some big shots in that second quarter. Luke Kennard, a quiet game, coming off a big contract signing, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Patrick Patterson also got some minutes in that game as well. Serge Ibaka, a solid game, 21 minutes, 15 points, 6 rebounds. So that's kind of expected of him right there. But I like, I can take positives from both teams. I like how the Clippers put an emphasis on playing more team-oriented ball. I like how they successfully implemented aspects of the triangle offense to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Not just, I wouldn't say open shots, because it's gonna be hard to create open shots for guys in the NBA because it's just the length and the speed. But what they did was they're gonna continuously put pressure on teams to guard them one-on-one. Even if you put an elite defender on them, when you're running aspects of the triangle, you're going to put those even elite defenders at a disadvantage when they're getting hit hard off pin downs. All right. If they're getting, squeezed off pinches and curls. I like what Tyronn Lue is doing with this team and the offense that he's implementing. It was a great start to a season. I mean, I know again, it's just game one because the Clippers started off last season the same way, going up against the Los Angeles Lakers and winning and having a pretty dominant performance. And we saw how the season ended for the Clippers. So again, I don't want to jump too far overboard off one game. I think LeBron played solid. AD played solid. I would have liked to see AD be a bit more aggressive, especially going to the basket, creating fouls. I think with this Clipper team right here, because they lack the depth that they had in years, it's going to be crucial for teams to put them in foul trouble. And if you get guys like Zubac in foul trouble, or if you get Ibaka in foul trouble, or even if you go at Paul George or Kawhi Leonard and you get one of those guys in foul trouble, I think that can put some serious holes in this team. That could put them at a disadvantage against a lot of good teams in the NBA. So I think as teams start to progress through the season, they start to see what makes this team work with the new players that they have and with the offenses that they're running. I think teams are going to make a concerted effort to try to get them into foul trouble. And with the way the refs have been calling these games, it's going to be very possible. It's going to be very possible because they're calling it tight. I haven't seen, as far as opening day goes, I saw a number of travels being called that normally aren't called in the NBA. I saw a lot more ticky-tack fouls. So I think the NBA has to choose what they're going to do. Either they're going to make these calls or they're going to let these guys play. Because again, I saw, and again, this is not calls for one team or the other. This is just across the board for all teams. I felt like the refs were kind of taking over the momentum of the games, especially with these offensive foul calls. I mean, I think you can let some of them go as long as you're letting them go for both teams. And I think it just kind of slowed down the fun factor and the momentum of both games. So there you have it right there. We're going to go, we have a slate of games for the night, but before we go over that slate of games for the night, obviously with these two games that just happened, we had some Fanduel picks out of these two games. So let's check in on those Fanduel lineups, see how we did. And when we do these Fanduel picks again, I want to see how can we improve our strategy so that we can come up with at least a lineup that's in the money that can win some money. So let's go ahead and get over to these Fanduel lineups picked by the panel. All right, so we got our first Fanduel lineup here. This was one of the lineups that the panel selected. The panel selected Steph Curry, Brad Wanamaker, Spencer Dinwiddie, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Kawhi Leonard, Joe Harris, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and Montrezl Harrell. And we see the results so far, so we kind of see where we went wrong. We kind of see where we placed here. We placed in the bottom half. I would say if you don't place in the top half, it's probably not a very good lineup. So we kind of see where we went wrong. Steph Curry was a good pick. Brad Wanamaker was not a very good pick. He did not give the production that we thought he could. We know he can give production, but he didn't give the production that we thought he would. In his new role with the Warriors. Spencer Dinwiddie, kind of a down night. Obviously, he's not going to be able to score the 20 points a game that he scored last year. So, I mean, if you're playing FanDuel and you're looking into playing long term, maybe you want to look at this as an indicator of what his common nights can be from this point going forward. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 turnovers. Even without the 3 turnovers, that's not a very good night. We need a guy at his price. We need him to be above 30 FanDuel points. So maybe that's a sign of things to come with Dimwitty. His usage is going to go down severely. Taylor Horton-Tucker. I know Elder predicted this guy would go 20 and 8 possibly. I had a feeling he just wouldn't get the opportunity or the minutes to do so. Kawhi Leonard with 26. 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Again, for Kawhi Leonard's price, I guess we would love to see him go over 40, but for that price, I think he was at 9,500. That's not very good production for a guy. At Kawhi Leonard's price, you want to see him up in the 40s or higher, similar to Steph Curry. If you don't get that much, then you're not getting good value for Kawhi Leonard, but he had a solid night. I wish I could have saw a little bit more for him, but with the games turning into a blowout early on, and he didn't really rely on him as heavily early in the game because of how bad they were beating the Lakers. Joe Harris, again, similar to Spencer Dinwiddie, his usage is going to go down severely on this team. Maybe 10 to 12 points a night, and on some nights he may give you a few more steals and blocks, which could push him up into the 30s, but he's not that type of defensive player. He had an average night. So again, not a bad player, but when we're playing FanDuel, we have to look at opportunity and if you're just a good FanDuel player. Anthony Davis, he had the biggest letdown. He's the biggest letdown. You see, he was picked in 48% of lineups, and he only gave 25.4 FanDuel points because, again, he had not, along with the 4 turnovers. Even if you take that off, he's still under 30 FanDuel points, but he didn't give much. He didn't get any steals. He didn't get any blocks. Only 7 rebounds and 2 assists. So a bad night on FanDuel. What I would say is look for Anthony Davis to go crazy with regards to FanDuel numbers in the next game. He usually has great bounce back games. So I would still stay high on Anthony Davis. He's still a great FanDuel player. But, man, this is one of the things you got to be careful with when you play FanDuel. If a guy that you spend this much money on, if he lays an egg, really your entire lineup is really going to bomb. So, again, think about those things, especially if you're playing with a limited budget. You may not want to lock a guy like this in all of your lineups. You don't want to have a whole bunch of lineups that are wasted. Kevin Durant, 22, 3, 5, 3 steals, 1 block. So again, you guys can now see the value of steals and blocks. Without these steals and blocks, I mean, if you look at this right here, that's 12 FanDuel points just with steals and blocks. If you take that away, Kevin Durant doesn't give you the close to the value of what his price point sets. So again, a guy like Kevin Durant, he's a 7-footer. On most nights, he's going to be guarding power forwards and small forwards. So the opportunity for him to get blocks and steals are going to be much higher. And on top of the fact that he looks healthy, he looks like he hasn't lost a step at all. Some people are saying 90%. I think he's 100%. I don't know. It just looked like the game is just too easy to him. Montrezl Harrell, again, he's going to come in every night for his price at 5,100. He did a great job, probably one of the best values next to James Wiseman at the center spot with 17 and 10. So that was a great pick as well. But overall, you see where the holes were in this lineup. We just kind of missed with Anthony Davis bombing, with Taylor Horton-Tucker not giving anything, Dimwitty and Joe Harris not having the usage that we thought they would have. That lineup was severely affected. So we got our other lineup. This is the next lineup that we selected. This is the second lineup that we selected as a panel. We had Steph Curry, Lou Williams, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luke Kennard, LeBron, Kelly Oubre, Kevin Durant, Eric Paschall, and James Wiseman. And as you can see, this lineup also placed in the bottom half of all FanDuel lineups. And it looks like there were about a little over 650,000 lineups entered, and we placed in the bottom half. So again, that's not good. Again, Curry had a great night. Lou Williams, again, this is one of the things you really kind of have to look to. Lou Williams is just not a good FanDuel player. Unless Lou Williams is giving you in upwards of 25 to 27 points, he doesn't give you much outside of that. He doesn't give you many assists, rebounds, steals, or blocks. As you can see on the night, he doesn't have any steals, no blocks, and only 3 assists and 2 rebounds with 11 points. So that amounted to a terrible FanDuel night for Lou Williams. Although within the scope of the actual game, he actually played pretty good. But when we're talking FanDuel, he didn't play very good at all. Spencer Dinwiddie, we just talked about him. His usage rate is going to decrease mightily. Luke Kennard, a very quiet game. But although he had a quiet game scoring wise, again, look at the value of steals and blocks. He had 2 steals and 1 block, which actually saved his FanDuel night. So keep that in mind when you're going forward. If Luke Kennard's price doesn't increase, he's still going to be a good value pick because of his ability to get steals and blocks. And if he has a night where he scores 15 points, maybe 4 rebounds, maybe 3 assists. And if he can get those 2 steals and that 1 block along with all of that, that's a great pick. So do not give up on Luke Kennard with regards to FanDuel. He's still a great value, and the opportunity is always going to be there for there. I just think he struggled to score the ball tonight. I think that's more so due to the Laker defense. The Lakers are one of the top defenses in the NBA. He's not going to see that on a night in and night out basis. So when there are other matchups more favorable to him, don't give up on Luke Kennard. He's still a solid FanDuel pick. LeBron James, a quiet night. We saw how Vogel only limit LeBron James to 28 minutes. That's not typical. So Vogel he's very aware that he cannot overplay AD and LeBron, and I like that. And what it's going to eventually do is it's going to put more responsibility on those bench guys to step their game up. I think the move that Vogel's doing, I think is going to pay off later in the season. They may have some growing pains early on as he's trying to get LeBron and AD some more rest, but later down the line, later in the season, you're going to see guys like Taylor Horton-Tucker, Kyle Kuzma, these really competitive minutes at the end of games is going to pay dividends. Kelly Oubre, quiet game. Although he did have 2 blocks and 1 steal, his scoring wise, he could not hit an open shot. He missed a lot of open shots, which if he'd have hit some of those open shots, if he could have got going offensively, he would have been in for a big FanDuel night. He just couldn't get it going. He gave good rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal and 1 block. So solid everywhere else. He just didn't give the points I thought he would give. If he gives his typical 15 to 21 points, that's a great FanDuel night. So let's not give up on Kelly Oubre. We talked about Kevin Durant, another great FanDuel night. Eric Pascal just kind of laid an egg. It's so bad to the point where Steve Kerr benched him for the rest of the first half. He played some in the second half in garbage time, and he still just didn't get better. So 6 points, 1 rebound, 1 block. Not a very good night for him. But James Wiseman, again, started off the game sluggish. He looks like he has a great nose for rebounds, so he looks like a great rebounder. And he was able to accumulate a lot of FanDuel points in garbage time. And again, if the Warriors are in situations like that going forward in the future, look for Kerr to play Wiseman more just to get him more experience. Remember, Wiseman did not play any preseason or anything like that. Yesterday was his first NBA action ever. All right, so I don't expect him to be that rusty going forward in the future. He's going to have to play this rust off. But I think Wiseman's going to be a solid FanDuel player. So if his price continues to stay low, do continue to pick James Wiseman. Because at that value, for a guy at his value, I think he was priced at like 4,000 FanDuel points. If anybody at 4,000 who costs 4,000 FanDuel points, if they can give you 30 FanDuel points, that's a great deal. You need to continuously select those players. But that's how our 2 lineups did. Unfortunately, we did not win any money there. You know, we'll try again. So we'll be doing our live FanDuel picks for tomorrow. We'll be doing that tomorrow. Hopefully we can pick a better lineup and just be more competitive. And again, if you guys got some lineups that you tried on your own, screenshot them, send them to us, and we can break them down on our lives as well. Because I kind of want to see your thought processes and what you were thinking about when you put your lineups together, especially if your lineup won some money. So appreciate the panel for hopping in, helping us get these lineups selected. Unfortunately, today we did not win any money, but hopefully maybe next time, as we learn and get better at this as a community, we can win some money. But we got a slate of games today. We're going to break down this slate of games before we get up out of here really quick. So let's pull that up. All right, now as you guys can see, we got the slate of games right here. A lot of games today. This is a large slate. I mean, if you're playing FanDuel today, the FanDuel is going to be all over the place. Probably the winning score is probably going to easily exceed 400 points with all of these games today. So again, be careful when you get on FanDuel. Again, be a free thinker, be smart, and just use the games that we saw yesterday as an example. But we got a number of 7 o'clock games. So we got 4 7 o'clock games. We got the Hornets, Cavs. We got the Knicks, Pacers, Heat, Magic, Wizards, and Sixers all at 7. We got some 7:30 games. We have the Bucks and the Celtics. We have New Orleans and the Raptors. Those 2 teams are pretty familiar. They played in the preseason. We got the Hawks, Bulls, and then we round the night out with some 8 o'clock games going into our late games. OKC Rockets. Rockets are looking kind of funny. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and James Harden probably will not play. Even so, that's still a game that they can win going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that has a completely depleted roster full of young guys. So luckily, they're not playing a very good team, but you know, you would want to see your best players on the court to start the season. We got the Spurs and Grizzlies. We got the Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kings, Nuggets. We got the Jazz, Blazers, and then we got the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns to end the night at 10:30. So that kind of rounds out our games for December 23rd. Looks like the NBA is going to start this season out with a bang. Remember, it should be a lot of games out. The NBA is compacting a lot of games into a small amount of time. So again, especially if you're playing fantasy basketball, be conscious of our coach is going to start limiting minutes. All right, our other guys going to get higher usage. Make sure you take into account injury. Use all of that. Just be smart. But it looks like we have a lot of games. If we have a slate of games that's very exciting, we'll probably be going live tonight to go over some of these games. If not, then we'll probably see you back tomorrow with a recap of all of these games. And make sure you're ready tomorrow. Put your thinking caps on. We're going to go back to doing our Fanduel Lineups live. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to try it again. Hopefully we can pull a new group of panelists on to help select those lineups. And again, it's about selecting the winning lineup. Hopefully we can. And if we can, we'll do it with you guys here on FYF Sports. Hey, it's been a great podcast video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you have not done so already. We are grinding 20K. Appreciate all the support thus far. Just making this year 2020 as we end it. It's been a great year for FYF Sports. So, man, again, I never imagined that I would be at almost 18,000 subscribers so fast. And, you know, and then it's so crazy because once you get to 18,000 subscribers, you know, it still doesn't feel like enough. So again, we're still on the grind. We're still trying to make this platform grow. The goal is to 20K. Once we hit the 20K, we got 50 and 100K coming up next. So again, salute to everybody. Salute to guys like DKM, AB the Hero, Ball Facts. All of those guys, man, have been supporting me, helping me learn how to do this YouTube thing. And make sure we're supporting everybody. I mean, we got a lot of guys who come onto the live panel like True the King. We got Goat Mike. We got CA3 Sports Talk. We got SB. We got a lot of guys who also have their own platforms that might be smaller than mine. But again, it was at one point in time where I was where they are. All right, so let's support the smaller guys too, because again, if you start checking out their channels, they got a lot of great content as well. A lot of great content. So again, make sure you go check those guys out. All of those guys you see on our live panel. All right, and we're gonna start having them drop their channel links. So if you're a YouTuber and you want us to, shout out your channel, come on to the live panel, chop it up with us about basketball, and we can put you out there as well. We're just trying to build a bigger community. And again, at the end of the day, it's only going to help us all. Hey, it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode. And we out.
Really make